We want to talk to you today a little bit about the TurboLogix EV and the installation portion that goes along with the TurboLogix EV. This product that is utilized for a retrofit for Ingersoll Rand products, especially the CMC and the MP3. Now, the TurboLogix EV is also used on other manufacturers' machinery, and we'll go into detail on that in other videos, but today we want to talk strictly about setting up the CMC and how we configure the board so that we can make it work with your product. So let's talk about what comes in the box. When you receive a TurboLogix EV for the CMC, what exactly do you get in that box? Well, let's start out with the operator interface and the mounting bezel. We have two components for the mounting bezel. We have a steel ring that mounts in place of the operator interface and the bezel that's on the door. The nice thing about this, we reuse the existing bolt holes. So you've got 6 sets of holes, and so whenever you remove your bezel and your HMI or your operator interface from the panel, all you do, there's no holes to cut, all you do is stick this on the door, put the bolts that we supply along with this kit in there, and then bolt it up, tighten it up, and then you're ready to go as far as installation of the operator interface. Now, we offer two size operator interfaces. One is a 7-inch, and then we also have a 10-inch. Now, we've got two bezel rings that fit that. This is the 10-inch, and we also have one for the 7-inch, and they both work on the same interface bezel. So whenever you put these together like that, they just bolt together. Now, this device is threaded. The main piece is threaded with a 4mm thread. So whenever we go to place the bolts in there, these are already pre-threaded. You don't have to worry about putting some kind of self-tapping screw or supplying other hardware. That will be supplied in your kit. The operator interface, once it's attached and the labeling is applied, looks something like this, okay? And then you can see how it mounts from the rear, okay? And you've got bolt holes or your screws in there. Just one of the features I want to point out to you at this time about the operator interface. A lot of people wonder about the backup memory, and we utilize a 4 GB USB port device that's a little bitty small USB memory. It's got 4 gig of capability, and it plugs directly into the back of the HMI in this location. So in the future, whenever you want to take your data and transport it somewhere else, or basically transport your information or your backup software over to another HMI, it's all contained in this device right here. And other than that, that's about all the componentry that goes along with the HMI. Now also, you're going to get an I/O card, and we'll go into detail about how to put the I/O card in just a moment. This is utilized to replace the CPU on the CMC. And once you pull the CMC apart and take the CPU card out, this replaces that, and we'll show you how to attach that. Now, there's terminal blocks on here with markings, and there are sets of drawings that indicate where these markings, how they line up on the I/O card or on the CMC I/O board itself. So anyway, we'll go into detail about that in just a moment. You're going to get a couple of bags of goodies. You're going to get some pre-marked wires, which are used to attach the I/O of the PLC directly to that I/O card that I just showed you. And we'll also send you a set of labels, common labels with common names and tag names on there that you can utilize any way that you desire once you get your device wired up. Also, there are some standoffs, screws, and also a set of fuses. And we'll go into detail about what fuses get pulled out and what gets replaced in just a few moments. Also, you're going to get your PLC, and this is a pre-configured system, and I'll show you more details about that. But you're going to get a main cover, and you're going to get a board cover that goes over the I/O card, and then you're also going to get your PLC. And one of the nice things about this setup right here is we've configured it with a screw on the top up here, so that if you ever need to service the fuses behind there that are originally on the CMC card, you loosen that screw up a little bit. Get that. It's on a hinge, okay? So it's hinged, and it allows itself to drop open like that, and you've got direct access to your fuses back there. So it's a nice little feature, well laid out. We've got inserts and cutouts in areas where you have to get access with screwdrivers or nut drivers to remove some screws and fasteners. So all that is taken into consideration, and that's your CMC I/O card mounting cover. Okay. Now, a lot of people, when they first talk about this system, are a bit confused about what all goes on. Basically, the TurboLogix product for the CMC will utilize the existing CMC base module I/O card. There are two pieces to this card. There's the CPU and there's the I/O card. And we reuse the I/O card piece and we discard the CPU. So anyway, we'll go into a little more detail about that in just a few minutes. Additionally, what you're going to get into, you're going to get some tie wraps to tidy up the wiring around the board. You'll get an Ethernet cable, and you also get an inlet air temperature sensor and a thermal well. Now, this device is utilized in some of your surge calculations, and it is required to be placed and mounted into the inlet. Typically, we like 3 to 12 pipe diameters away from the inlet valve, depending on whether or not you've got a recirculation system or whether or not you just have an air filter where you're pulling the air in straight from outside. Anyway, this is mounted in the piping. The RTD is placed into the thermal well, and then this is wired back to the control panel. There's a set of drawings that come with every kit. And in this situation, I've highlighted some of the items that are necessary for you guys to look at as far as wiring in your power and your grounds on your system. That is a picture of the I/O cards on the PLC, the slot numbers, and then it also coordinates down here to the bottom where we show the terminals on our I/O card, and we show the terminals that you need to tie into. Then also we have another, which is basically a representation of the I/O card and how that aligns with the I/O on the actual CPU card or portion of the CMC. Another drawing that we have is also a table. Okay, and what we do with this table is utilized to allow you to write in the names of your input points and where the mapping shows on your CMC, and will allow you to go back and tie that over to the actual inputs that are standard on the TurboLogix. So basically, this reference will turn into a reference to give you a guide to show you where on this card that you're going to terminate your I/O and where you're going to land your I/O. One of the necessary components that you're going to have to set up your TurboLogix EV system is going to be a set of your schematics that goes with your CMC panel. And the reason we need this is we need to know where the inputs land on the CMC card so that we can map those over to the input card that we're supplying, this guy right here, and then from there we can transition over to the PLC. So you've got actually a couple of locations you have to know. You have to know where the I/O lands on the CMC card. Where on the CMC card do you pick up that input to go and land on the CPU or on the PLC? So anyway, for example, we have an input here called vibration stage 1 that lands its signal on J1 P12. If you'll go to this card here, you'll find that there is a J1-12 on here that corresponds to that. That would map with a wire, a jumper, up to the PLC, and we'll show you that in a little more detail in just a few moments, but that would land on the PLC in what we consider our standard vibration stage 1 input.